All right, so you're getting ready for an education welfare officer interview.
That's fantastic.
It's a really impactful role where you can make a difference.
It is.
We have some awesome resources from RoleCatcher today.
Definitely.
Career guides, interview tips, and even some AI magic
Sounds good.
to help you nail this interview.
RoleCatcher is a great free platform.
Oh, awesome.
Their AI is particularly helpful
Okay.
for tailoring your CV and practicing interview answers,
Gotcha.
and it gives you personalized feedback.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
So we're diving deep into their careers interview questions directory.
Okay.
It has like 3,000 plus career guides,
Wow.
but we're focusing specifically on the education welfare officer role today.
All right.
And it's not just about academics.
Absolutely not. It's about being a compassionate advocate for young people,
I like that.
supporting their emotional and social well-being
Mm-hmm.
as they navigate some tough challenges.
Yeah, we're talking about helping kids facing things like attention deficit problems,
Wrong.
poverty, maybe even domestic violence or abuse.
Really heavy stuff.
It's heavy stuff, but that's why this role is so important.
Exactly. To get you ready, we're going to tackle some of the most common interview questions that you'll encounter.
Okay, let's do it.
We have 9 key ones from the RoleCatcher guides.
9.
For each one, we'll break down what the interviewer is really looking for,
Okay.
the best way to approach your answer, and things to avoid saying.
Gotcha.
We'll even give you a sample response.
Awesome to get your creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
So question number 1. Can you tell us about your experience working with children and young people?
Okay.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It does.
But what are they really getting at here?
They want to see if you've actually spent time with kids in settings like schools,
Okay.
youth centers, or similar environments.
So it's about gauging your hands-on experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so how should we approach this one?
The key is to bring your experience to life with vivid anecdotes.
Okay.
Don't just list places you've worked. Talk about specific achievements or challenges you faced while working with young people.
I see.
Did you help a shy child come out of their shell?
Okay.
Did you organize an event that boosted kids' confidence?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds of stories that will make you stand out.
Now, what about if you don't have direct experience working with children?
Okay.
Should you just be honest and say that?
Honesty is important,
Yeah,
but don't just say, I have no experience and leave it at that.
gotcha.
Think about transferable skills
Okay,
from other roles that demonstrate your ability to connect with and support young people.
I see.
Maybe you've volunteered with a youth organization, mentored a younger person, or even helped care for younger siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Frame those experiences in a way that highlights your patient's empathy and ability to guide young people.
That's a great point about transferable skills.
Yeah.
So what would a solid sample response sound like?
Something like, for the past 2 years, I've been a volunteer tutor at a local community center working with children from diverse backgrounds. While helping them with their homework, I also focused on creating a supportive environment where they could build confidence and a love for learning.
I love that.
Yeah.
It shows genuine commitment
It does.
and a focus on the child's whole well-being, not just their grades.
Absolutely.
Now, how might an interviewer follow up on this?
They could ask, can you describe a specific instance where you helped a child overcome a challenge?
Okay.
They're digging deeper into your problem-solving skills and your ability to empower young people.
Okay, on to question 2.
Yeah.
How do you approach safeguarding and child protection?
All right.
This sounds pretty serious.
It is. Interviewers need to know that you understand the legal and ethical responsibilities involved in protecting children.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for evidence that you're familiar with relevant policies and procedures.
So how do we demonstrate that?
Don't just name drop policies.
Right.
Explain your understanding of them and how you'd ensure they're followed in your role.
Okay.
Think back to your previous roles or any training you've received.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to report a concern?
Mm-hmm.
Did you participate in any safeguarding training?
I see.
Use those experiences to show you can put policy into practice.
What kind of things should we avoid saying here?
Avoid vague or generic answers like, I'm committed to child safety.
Okay.
It's too broad and doesn't demonstrate specific knowledge.
Right.
You want to sound confident and well-informed, not like you're just trying to wing it.
Makes sense. So what's a strong sample response for this question?
You could say something like, I'm familiar with the safeguarding policies outlined by.
Okay.
Mention the relevant governing body in your area.
Okay.
In my previous role as a teaching assistant, I received training on recognizing signs of abuse and neglect, and I always followed the reporting procedures diligently.
That's a clear and concise way to show you're on top of things.
Definitely.
Now, where could the interviewer take this next?
They might ask a hypothetical question like, how would you handle a situation where you suspected a child was being abused at home?
Oh, wow.
This is where you really showcase your critical thinking skills and your ability to navigate sensitive situations.
That's a tough one, but so important to be prepared for.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 3. How would you approach working with families and other professionals to support children's education?
All right.
Sounds like teamwork is key here.
Absolutely. Education welfare officers don't work in silos.
Right.
They're part of a larger network of people dedicated to a child's well-being. This question is all about demonstrating your communication and collaboration skills.
So what's the best way to approach this?
Talk about how you build positive relationships with families and professionals. Are you a good listener?
Right.
Are you clear and respectful in your communication?
I see.
Do you actively seek input from others?
Gotcha.
Use examples from your past experiences to show how you've successfully collaborated with others to achieve a common goal.
What should we avoid mentioning here?
Definitely avoid suggesting that you prefer to work independently or that you don't see the value in involving families or other professionals. This role is all about teamwork and recognizing that everyone has a part to play in supporting a child's success.
All right, let's hear a sample response that hits the mark.
Something like, I believe in open and consistent communication with families and professionals.
Yeah.
In my previous role, I regularly participated in multidisciplinary meetings, sharing information and working collaboratively to develop support plans that address the child's holistic needs.
That paints a great picture of someone who's a team player.
Yeah.
Now, how could the interviewer dig a little deeper?
They might ask, can you share an example of a successful collaboration that positively impacted a child's education?
Okay.
Be ready with a specific story that showcases your ability to work effectively with others to make a real difference.
Great point. Before we jump to the next question, I
Yeah.
want to touch on something cool RoleCatcher offers.
Okay, what's that?
AI-powered feedback on your interview answers.
Oh, yes.
So you can practice your responses.
Oh.
And get feedback on your content, your delivery, even your body language.
That's so helpful.
It's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing. So, back to the questions.
Okay.
Question 4. How do you keep up to date with changes in education policy and legislation?
Right.
This seems like it's all about showing that you're a lifelong learner.
Education is a field that's constantly evolving.
Right.
So interviewers want to know that you're proactive about staying informed.
So how can we demonstrate that?
Don't be shy about showing off your learning habits.
Okay.
Do you attend training courses? Read industry publications?
Yeah.
Follow relevant organizations online?
Okay.
Mention those things.
Gotcha.
It shows you're passionate about your professional development and that you're not content with just standing still.
What are some things we should avoid saying here?
Avoid sounding out of touch. You don't want to be caught off guard by a question about a recent policy change.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, give us a sample response that would impress the interviewer.
You could say, I'm a member of,
Oh.
mention a relevant professional organization,
Okay.
and regularly attend their webinars and conferences to stay up to date on policy changes. I also subscribe to key publications, like
Okay.
mention relevant publications to keep abreast of new legislation and best practices.
That's a solid answer.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of follow-up question might come next?
They could ask, can you give an example of a recent policy change that you've incorporated into your practice?
Okay.
They want to see if you can not only learn about new developments, but also apply them in real-world situations.
All right, on to question 5. Can you tell us about a time when you had to deal with a difficult situation involving a child or young person?
Okay, a classic.
This one is a classic.
It's a behavioral interview question designed to assess your problem-solving skills and emotional intelligence under pressure.
So what's the best way to tackle this one?
Use the STAR method.
Okay.
Situate, task, action, and result.
Right.
Describe a specific situation.
Gotcha.
Explain the task at hand. Outline the actions you took.
Okay.
And highlight the positive outcome.
So it's about showing that you can remain calm, think critically, and find solutions in challenging situations.
Exactly.
What should we absolutely avoid saying here?
Don't say you've never had a difficult situation.
Right?
It's simply not believable.
Yeah,
Every person working with children will encounter challenging moments.
of course.
If you haven't, it raises doubts about your experience or your honesty.
Okay, so what would a strong STAR method response sound like?
Something like, while working as a camp counselor, I had a camper experiencing severe homesickness.
Okay.
My task was to help them adjust and feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I listened patiently, contacted their parents for reassurance, and organized activities to help them integrate with other campers. Eventually, they adjusted and had a positive experience.
That's a great example of how to structure a behavioral response.
Yeah.
Now, where could the interviewer take this?
They might ask, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in that situation?
Okay.
They're looking for self-awareness and a willingness to learn from your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the outcome was positive,
Yeah.
there's always room for reflection and growth.
Great point. Before we go to the next question, I want to highlight another fantastic RoleCatcher feature.
Oh, tell me about it.
Their AI-powered CV tailoring tool.
Oh, yes.
It's a game changer.
It is.
It analyzes the job description and helps you highlight the skills and experiences that are most relevant to the role.
Yeah.
It takes the guesswork out of crafting a targeted and effective CV.
That's fantastic.
So helpful.
Yeah.
Now back to the questions.
Okay.
Question 6. How do you prioritize your workload and manage your time effectively? This one's all about organization and efficiency.
Exactly. Education welfare officers wear many hats.
Right. They need to be organized, efficient, and able to juggle multiple responsibilities while meeting deadlines.
So how do we impress the interviewer with our time management skills?
Don't just say you're good at managing time.
Okay.
Provide concrete examples of how you've successfully handled multiple projects or deadlines in the past.
Gotcha.
Do you use to-do lists,
Mm-hmm.
calendar reminders,
Yeah.
a specific time management technique?
Okay.
Share your process and how it leads to success.
And what should we avoid saying?
Don't admit to struggling with time management.
Right.
It's a red flag for potential employers.
Makes sense.
Instead, focus on the strategies you use to stay organized and on top of your workload.
Right. What does a strong sample response sound like for this question?
Something along the lines of, I prioritize my tasks based on urgency and importance.
Okay.
I use a daily planner to schedule appointments and allocate time for specific tasks.
Mm.
In my previous role, this system helped me effectively balance case management meetings and report writing.
I love that response.
It's clear, concise,
It is.
and demonstrates a structured approach to time management.
Absolutely.
Now, what kind of follow-up question could they ask?
They could ask, can you describe a time when you had to adjust your priorities due to an unexpected situation? How did you handle it?
Okay.
This explores your adaptability and your ability to think on your feet when things don't go according to plan.
Great one. It shows you can stay calm and focused under pressure.
For sure.
Okay, question number 7. How do you approach working with children and young people who are experiencing challenging circumstances, such as poverty or family breakdown?
Okay.
This one feels particularly important for this role.
It is. This question goes to the heart of what education welfare officers do.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding and supporting children facing adversity.
So how should we approach this?
Explain your approach to working with children in these situations.
Okay.
Highlight your ability to provide emotional and practical support.
Gotcha.
Drawing on examples from your previous roles, have you volunteered with organizations that help families in need?
Mm-hmm.
Have you encountered similar situations in your personal life that have given you valuable insights?
Oh.
Share those experiences.
What should we avoid saying here?
Avoid claiming you have no experience with these situations,
Right.
even if you haven't worked directly with children in poverty or facing family breakdown.
Mm.
You can draw on related experiences.
I see.
Perhaps you've witnessed these challenges in your community
Right.
or have read extensively on the topic.
Gotcha.
The key is to show that you're aware of the complexities and that you're prepared to approach these situations with sensitivity and a genuine desire to help.
Okay, let's hear a sample response that captures that.
Something like, I believe in a trauma-informed approach.
Okay.
Understanding that children's behaviors are often linked to their experiences,
Mm-hmm.
I would create a safe and supportive space for them to share their feelings and connect them with resources to address their practical needs.
That's powerful. It shows a deep understanding of the challenges these children face.
For sure.
Now, how might the interviewer build on this?
They might ask, can you describe a specific resource you would recommend for a child experiencing family breakdown and explain why it would be beneficial?
Okay.
This tests your knowledge of available support systems and your ability to tailor interventions to specific needs.
That's a great one. It shows you're not just sympathetic, but also equipped with the knowledge and resources to make a tangible difference.
Exactly.
Okay, question number 8. How do you manage conflict in your professional relationships.
All right.
Conflict is inevitable in any workplace, so how do we handle this one?
This is all about showcasing your maturity and professionalism.
Okay.
Explain your approach to managing conflict while remaining calm and objective.
Right.
Do you believe in direct communication, active listening,
Yeah.
finding common ground?
Okay.
Share your strategies and back them up with examples from your previous roles.
What should we steer clear of saying here?
Don't claim you've never had conflict in a professional setting.
Right.
It's simply not realistic and suggests a lack of self-awareness.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone experiences conflict at some point.
For sure.
Instead, focus on how you handle disagreements constructively and professionally.
What would a strong sample response sound like for this question?
Something like, I believe in addressing conflict directly and respectfully.
Okay.
When a disagreement arose with a colleague in my previous role, I initiated a conversation to understand their perspective, find common ground, and collaboratively resolve the issue.
That demonstrates a proactive and solution-oriented approach.
Exactly.
And what kind of follow-up question might come next?
They could ask, can you describe a situation where you had to manage conflict with a parent or guardian? How did you approach it?
Okay.
This explores your ability to handle conflict with stakeholders outside of your immediate team, which is crucial in this role.
All right, on to the final question in this set. Can you tell us about a time when you had to adapt your approach to working with a child or young person?
Okay.
Flexibility seems to be the key here.
Absolutely. Every child is unique.
Right.
And what works for one might not work for another.
That's true.
This question is all about showing that you're adaptable and responsive to individual needs.
So how do we approach this one effectively?
Describe a specific situation where you had to adjust your approach.
Okay.
Explain why you made the adjustments. And most importantly, highlight the positive outcome.
I see.
Did you change your communication style?
Oh.
Did you seek out additional resources? Did you modify your teaching methods?
Right.
Use a real-life example to bring your adaptability to life.
What should we avoid mentioning?
Avoid implying that you use a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
It's important to show that you recognize and value the individuality of each child and that you're committed to finding strategies that work best for them.
What's a sample response that would impress the interviewers?
You could say, I was working with a student who was struggling to focus in a group setting.
Okay.
After observing their behavior, I realized they thrived in one-on-one interactions. I adjusted my approach, providing individualized support,
Right.
which significantly improved their engagement and learning.
That's a perfect illustration of how to tailor your approach to meet a specific need.
Exactly.
Now, where could the interviewer go with this?
They could ask, how do you ensure you're considering a child's cultural background and individual learning style when adapting your approach?
Okay.
This digs into your commitment to inclusivity and your ability to create a learning environment that respects and celebrates diversity.
That's a fantastic follow-up question.
It is.
It really highlights the importance of seeing each child as an individual with unique needs and strengths.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on to the next part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to touch on a key point.
Okay.
We've been discussing these interview questions in detail.
Yeah.
And while preparation is vital,
Right.
it's equally important to remember that authenticity shines through.
I completely agree. While it's great to have well-crafted answers, you don't want to sound robotic or rehearsed.
Right.
Let your passion for this work shine through.
That's a great reminder. Now, the next part, we'll explore some career insights.
Right.
And delve into even more challenging interview scenarios. Stay tuned.
Yeah, let that passion come through.
That's such great advice. So now, kind of shifting gears a bit, let's talk about what happens after you've aced the interview.
Okay.
What kind of career paths open up for education welfare officers?
Right.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide has some insights on this.
It does.
So one common path is to move into leadership positions within schools or educational agencies.
Right. And the guide mentions becoming a senior education welfare officer.
Oh.
Or even moving into supervisory roles.
So as you gain experience,
Yeah.
you might find yourself leading a team of officers, developing policies, or advocating for student needs at a higher level.
Exactly.
That sounds like a great fit for people who enjoy mentoring and taking on more responsibility.
It does.
Another option is to pursue further education and become a licensed counselor or therapist.
Right.
That makes perfect sense, considering the counseling aspect of the role.
Absolutely. With additional qualifications, you could provide more specialized therapeutic support to students or even work in private practice.
The guide also emphasizes continuous learning. even if you don't go for a formal degree.
Absolutely. Attending workshops or taking courses on topics like child protection counseling techniques or mental health support can be incredibly valuable.
Right.
Yeah, it helps you deepen your expertise and stay on top of the latest best
So
practices.
it's all about investing in your professional development
Mm-hmm.
and keeping that passion for learning alive.
Yeah.
The guide also mentions building a professional portfolio.
Yes.
What exactly would that look like for an education welfare officer?
Think of it as a showcase of your experience, skills, and achievements. You could include case studies, reports, or even testimonials from students, parents, or colleagues.
Oh, okay. So it's a great way to demonstrate your impact and expertise to potential employers or clients. And
Exactly.
don't underestimate the power of networking.
Absolutely. Not attending conferences or connecting with other professionals online can open doors to new opportunities and collaborations.
The guide specifically mentions platforms like LinkedIn and online communities for education welfare officers.
Right. Those are great places to connect with like-minded professionals, share insights, and learn from each other's experiences.
Now, before we jump into more interview scenarios,
Okay.
I want to circle back to those 9 key questions we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Looking at them as a whole,
Hmm.
what stands out to you as the most important theme?
Well, it's clear that this role is about so much more than just knowing the rules.
Right.
It's about genuine empathy, clear communication, and a deep passion for supporting young people, especially those facing difficult circumstances.
Yeah, it's about having a heart for this work.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher is a fantastic free resource to help you prepare.
Oh, awesome.
Their AI-powered tools can give you personalized feedback on your answers, which can be a real confidence booster.
Such a valuable tool.
Mhm.
Now, for our listeners who are gearing up for their interviews,
Yeah.
what's one piece of advice that could really help them stand out?
Don't be afraid to share stories that illustrate your genuine commitment to helping children thrive. Let your passion shine through. Show them that you're not just looking for a job, you're embarking on a mission to make a real difference in young lives.
That's powerful advice.
Yeah,
Authenticity and passion are so important.
absolutely.
So let's dive into some more complex interview scenarios.
Okay.
These will require you to think critically about your approach
Right.
and demonstrate your ability to handle challenging situations.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, let's start with this one. Imagine you're working with a student who is consistently truant. How would you approach the situation? This is a classic problem-solving question.
Yeah.
It's about showing you can go beyond the surface
Mm-hmm.
and develop effective intervention.
Exactly. The first step would be to try and understand the root cause of the truancy.
Okay.
Is it a lack of engagement with schoolwork, bullying, family issues,
Right.
something else entirely?
It's about digging deeper and addressing the underlying factors, not just the symptom.
Right.
Once you've identified the root cause, you can start developing a tailored intervention plan.
Exactly.
This might involve collaborating with the student, their family teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and any other relevant support services.
Okay.
So it's a holistic approach, recognizing that truancy is often a complex issue.
It is.
Now, what kind of follow-up question might an interviewer ask to dig a little deeper?
They could ask, what steps would you take if your initial interventions were unsuccessful?
Okay.
This explores your persistence and willingness to adapt your strategies when things don't go as planned.
So they're looking for someone who doesn't give up easily
Right.
and who's committed to finding a way back to education for every child.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to another scenario. Describe a time when you had to advocate for a child's needs. What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
All right, so this one is all about your advocacy skills.
Right.
They want to see if you're willing to fight for what's right, even when it's tough.
So how do we approach this one?
Share a specific example where you had to advocate for a child's needs.
Uh-huh.
Maybe dealing with the school administration, social services, or other agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest about the challenges you faced, the steps you took to overcome them, and the positive outcome you achieved for the child.
So it's about showing them you're not afraid to stand up for what you believe in.
Exactly.
Now, what kind of follow-up question could come next?
They could ask, how do you balance advocating for a child's needs while respecting the perspectives of other stakeholders involved, such as parents or teachers?
Okay.
This tests your ability to navigate potentially conflicting viewpoints and find solutions that benefit the child while maintaining positive relationships with everyone involved.
So it's about being a skilled communicator and diplomat.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's tackle another challenging question. How would you handle a situation where a child disclosed abuse or neglect to you? This one is incredibly important.
It is absolutely. It's essential to demonstrate a clear understanding of your legal and ethical obligations in such a situation.
So how do we respond in a way that shows we're prepared and knowledgeable?
Okay, start by emphasizing your ability to remain calm and listen attentively to the child.
Okay.
Reassure them that they've done the right thing by telling you,
Right.
and then clearly explain the reporting procedures you're obligated to follow. It's vital to avoid making promises you can't keep. Don't promise to keep their disclosure a secret. Instead, explain that you need to share this information with trusted adults who can help keep them safe.
Now, what kind of follow-up question might an interviewer ask to explore this further?
They might ask, how would you support a child emotionally after they've disclosed abuse or neglect? This is where you demonstrate your empathy and ability to provide emotional support in a traumatic situation.
What would a strong response to that follow-up sound like?
You could highlight your ability to create a safe space for the child to share their feelings, validate their emotions, and reassure them that they're not alone. You could also mention connecting them with appropriate support services like counseling or advocacy groups.
That's so important. It's about showing that you understand the impact of trauma on children
Right.
and that you're equipped to provide the necessary support.
Ah.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly and explore this question. How do you approach working with families from diverse cultural backgrounds?
Okay, so this is about demonstrating your cultural competence,
Brilliant.
your commitment to providing inclusive support to all families.
So how do we showcase our understanding and sensitivity in this area?
Start by highlighting your awareness of different cultural norms and values. Express your willingness to learn from families about their specific needs and your ability to adapt your approach accordingly. It's about creating a space where all families feel welcome, respected, and understood.
Now, how might the interviewer follow up on this?
They could ask, can you share an example of a time when you had to adjust your communication style or approach to effectively work with a family from a different cultural background? This gives you a chance to showcase your cultural competency in action.
It's about showing that you're not just talking the talk,
Right.
but walking the walk when it comes to cultural sensitivity. Okay, let's move on to another question that often comes up. How would you handle a situation where a parent or guardian was resistant to accepting support for their child? This can be a tricky situation.
It is, but it's important to approach it with empathy. And understanding this question is about demonstrating your communication and negotiation skills, as well as your ability to build relationships with families who might be hesitant to engage.
So how do we navigate this sensitive situation effectively?
Start by actively listening to the parents' concerns, validate their perspective, and try to understand where their resistance is coming from, then calmly explain the benefits of the support being offered.
Right.
And how it could positively impact their child. It's crucial to avoid being judgmental or dismissive. Instead, focus on building trust and finding common ground.
Now, how could the interviewer take this a step further?
They could ask, what steps would you take if a parent continued to refuse support despite your efforts to engage them? This tests your knowledge of the limits of your role
Okay.
and your understanding of when to escalate a situation to higher authorities.
So it's about showing that you're committed to the child's well-being, even when it's challenging.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's tackle another sensitive question. How would you handle a situation where you had concerns about a child's safety, but lacked concrete evidence?
This is a delicate situation that requires a nuanced approach. You need to balance a child's right to privacy with their need for protection.
So how do we respond in a way that demonstrates our judgment and knowledge of safeguarding procedures?
Start by highlighting your ability to gather information from various sources. Okay.
Whether it's observations of the child, conversations with teachers, or concerns raised by others.
Gotcha.
Explain that you would consult with colleagues or supervisors and document your concerns thoroughly. It's important to emphasize that you wouldn't hesitate to report your concerns to the appropriate authorities if you believed a child was at risk of harm, even without concrete evidence.
Now, what kind of follow-up question could come next?
They might ask, how would you manage your own emotions and anxieties when dealing with a potential child protection concern? This digs into your self-awareness and ability to handle the emotional weight of this work.
It's a tough job, and interviewers want to make sure you have healthy coping mechanisms.
Exactly. A strong response would highlight your ability to seek support from colleagues, supervisors, or even mental health professionals to ensure your own well-being and prevent burnout.
That's a great reminder that self-care is essential
It is.
in this demanding and emotionally challenging profession. Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
And explore this question. How would you approach working with a student who has special educational needs?
Okay, so this question is about demonstrating your knowledge of special education laws and regulations
Right.
and your ability to collaborate with others
Mm-hmm.
to create individualized education programs or IEPs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about ensuring that students with special needs have the support they need to thrive.
A strong response would highlight your ability to work collaboratively with parents, teachers, special education professionals, and other stakeholders
Absolutely.
to develop and implement those IEPs.
Right.
It's about advocating for the students' needs, ensuring their access to appropriate resources, and monitoring their progress to make adjustments as needed.
Exactly.
Now, how might the interviewer follow up on this to get a better sense of your experience?
They could ask, can you describe a time when you worked with a student with special needs and helped them achieve a significant academic or personal goal? This is your chance to showcase a success story. That demonstrates your expertise and passion for working with these students.
It's about illustrating your ability to make a real difference in their lives. Okay, let's move on to another question that often arises in these interviews. How would you handle a situation where a student was experiencing bullying?
Okay, so this one is about demonstrating your knowledge of bullying prevention strategies, your ability to intervene effectively,
Right.
and your commitment to creating a safe and inclusive school environment.
It's about showing that you understand the serious impact of bullying
Absolutely.
and that you're prepared to take action.
Exactly. A strong response would highlight your ability to identify the signs of bullying, intervene promptly and appropriately,
Okay.
support the victim, and address the behavior of the bully. It's about taking a comprehensive approach that involves parents, teachers, and other students
Right.
to create a culture of respect and tolerance in the school.
Now, what kind of follow-up question could an interviewer ask to explore your proactive approach to preventing bullying?
They might ask, what steps would you take to prevent bullying from occurring in the first place?
Okay.
This is where you can shine a light on your commitment to implementing bullying prevention programs,
Good.
fostering positive relationships among students,
Mm-hmm.
and promoting a culture of empathy and respect.
So it's about showing that you're not just reactive, but also proactive in addressing this critical issue.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's shift gears again and delve into this question. How would you approach working with a student who is experiencing grief or loss?
All right, so this question explores your sensitivity, empathy,
Mm.
and your ability to support students through emotionally challenging times.
It's about recognizing that grief and loss can significantly impact a child's well-being
Absolutely.
and that they need support to navigate those difficult emotions.
Exactly. A strong response would highlight your ability to create a safe and supportive space for the student to express their feelings,
Okay.
validate their emotions, and connect them with appropriate resources such as grief counseling or support groups.
It's about showing that you understand grief is a process
Right.
and that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to supporting a child through it. Now, what kind of follow-up question might an interviewer ask to explore your knowledge of resources and support systems?
They could ask, what resources would you recommend to a family whose child is struggling to cope with the loss of a loved one?
Okay.
Yeah, this gives you an opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge of available support systems
Right.
and your ability to tailor your recommendations to the specific needs of the child and family.
It's about showing that you're not just sympathetic,
Mm-hmm.
but also equipped with the knowledge and resources to make a tangible difference.
Oh.
Okay, let's tackle another scenario-based question. Imagine you're working with a student who is displaying signs of anxiety or depression. How would you approach this situation? This one is all about mental health awareness and support.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating your understanding of mental health issues in children
Right.
and your willingness to take action to address concerns.
So how do we approach this one in a way that shows both sensitivity and a proactive approach?
Start by explaining how you would approach the student with empathy and without judgment, express your concern for their well-being
Okay.
and encourage them to seek professional help. It's important to emphasize that you would work collaboratively with parents, teachers, and mental health professionals
Right.
to create a support plan for the student.
It's a team effort, recognizing that everyone plays a role in supporting a child's mental health.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of follow-up question might come next?
They could ask, what steps would you take if a student was reluctant to seek professional help? This explores your persistence and your ability to navigate challenging situations.
Okay.
The key is to show that you wouldn't give up easily
Right.
and that you would continue to offer support and encouragement while respecting the student's autonomy.
It's a delicate balance, but it's about showing that you're committed to the student's well-being, even when they're resistant to help.
Yeah.
Okay, let's delve into another question that often comes up. How would you handle a situation where a student was disclosing self-harm or suicidal thoughts? This is a critical situation that requires a careful and informed response.
Absolutely. It's essential to demonstrate a clear understanding of your legal and ethical obligations, as well as your knowledge of crisis intervention strategies.
So how do we respond in a way that shows we're prepared and capable of handling this type of situation?
Emphasize your ability to remain calm and listen attentively to the student, validating their feelings and reassuring them that they've done the right thing by telling you.
Okay.
Explain that you need to take immediate action to ensure their safety, which might involve contacting emergency services parents or a mental health professional.
Now, what kind of follow-up question might an interviewer ask to gauge your understanding of the aftermath of a crisis?
They might ask, how would you support a student and their family after a suicidal crisis? This is about showcasing your ability to provide ongoing support and resources during a challenging time.
It's about showing that you're not just there for the immediate crisis,
Right.
but also for the long haul, helping the student and their family navigate the road to recovery.
Absolutely. A strong response would highlight your ability to connect the student and family with appropriate mental health services, follow up with them regularly, and advocate for their needs within the school system.
It's about showing that you understand the long-term impact of mental health crises and that you're committed to providing continued support and resources. Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to take a moment to reflect on all we've covered so far. We've tackled a lot of tough questions and scenarios. What are some key takeaways you'd like our listeners to remember?
Well, I think what stands out most is that the role of an education welfare officer goes far beyond simply addressing truancy or behavioral issues. It's about being a compassionate advocate, a skilled communicator, a resourceful problem solver, and a champion for the well-being of every child.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a multifaceted role that demands a unique blend of knowledge, skills, and heart. And for anyone feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this information,
Yeah.
remember that RoleCatcher is there to help.
Yeah.
Their AI-powered tools, their comprehensive guides, it's all there to help you prepare to excel and to thrive in this impactful role.
Absolutely.
So we encourage all our listeners to check out RoleCatcher and explore their resources.
Yes,
They offer a wealth of information and support to help you on this journey.
I do.
And with that, we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive into the world of education welfare officers. Stay tuned for the final part where we'll explore some concluding thoughts
Okay.
and offer some final inspiration.
It is a career where you can really make a difference.
So we've explored the role of an education welfare officer. We tackled those tricky interview questions, and we even looked into potential career paths
Right.
as we wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah.
Is there anything from the RoleCatcher guides that surprised you or sparked a new thought?
You know what struck me was the section in the career guide about the evolving work environment
Okay.
for education welfare officers.
Mm-hmm.
It mentioned the rise of technology in counseling and how things like online therapy and mental health apps are becoming more common.
Oh, that's interesting. It makes me wonder how those technological advancements might impact the future of this role.
Right.
Will it make things easier for education welfare officers?
Yeah.
Allowing them to connect with more students and provide more personalized support?
Mm-hmm.
Or will it create new challenges,
Yeah.
requiring them to adapt their skills and approaches?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but it's definitely something worth pondering.
Yeah.
I think those entering this field will need to be adaptable and tech savvy,
Right.
embracing innovation while still maintaining that human connection.
Right.
That's so vital in this work.
That's a great point. It's a reminder that this field is constantly evolving, and lifelong learning is key. So for our listeners who are about to embark on their education welfare officer journey,
Yeah.
what's one final thought you'd like to leave them with?
Remember that you're entering a profession where you can truly make a difference. Your empathy, dedication, and willingness to go the extra mile can change young lives for the better.
I love that.
Embrace the challenges, celebrate the successes, and never lose sight of the profound impact you have on the future generation.
That's beautiful. And to echo that sentiment,
Yeah.
we want to encourage all our listeners to tap into the incredible resources that RoleCatcher provides.
Yes.
Their AI-powered tools, their comprehensive guides.
Absolutely.
It's all there to help you prepare to excel and to thrive in this impactful role.
It is.
So go out there, ace those interviews, and make a difference.
Yes, make a difference.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.